Hello, my name is James Swift. Welcome to Studio Talks.
I'm Josh McNorton, and our guest today is
Si Owens. Hiya lads, nice to meet you both.
Hey Simon, okay. How are you doing in the lockdown, and what advice do you have for people?
Oh, you know what? I feel like I've got some guilt over the lockdown, really, because I know it's been a big struggle for a lot of people, and people have had a terrible time. I've got to say, I've been absolutely fine. I'm one of those people. I'm okay in isolation. I'm okay in my own company. It doesn't affect me mental health to be isolated or anything like that. So the lockdown for me has been an absolute breeze, but I say that with a tinge of guilt because obviously I'm conscious that it's been so difficult for so many people, tragic in some cases. And as regards to any advice, I suppose maybe for that reason, I'm not the best place to give advice because I kind of breeze through it a bit. But it's a question I've been asking people a lot lately because I was doing a similar thing to what you lads do. I was doing series to promote Halton Rocks, and I was asking that question, and the recurring theme that was coming across to me, people were saying, was just talk, communicate. All right, I can't stay in touch person to person, although I know that's eased a little bit now, but just use the phone. And I can't remember who, to be honest, to me detriment, I can't remember who said this to me, but the thing that really stuck in my head was somebody said, in fact, it might have been even on one of your podcasts when I was watching one of your podcasts, and somebody said, okay, so you maybe don't need people to reach out to you because you're doing okay, but just think, have I been in touch with everybody? Have I been proactive about contacting them? And I thought that was a great piece of advice to give out.
Josh definitely said earlier, like in the first couple of episodes, that he tries to reach out to someone like every day or every week, was it? The idea
on it, really.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thought of, oh, they've thought about me. That's such a nice feeling to be like, oh, they thought about me and worried about me.
No, you're right, James.
Yeah.
That little bit, the gesture, if you like, it can really go a long way with people, can't it? So.
And I think in terms of guilt, I mean, when you say I feel guilty because I haven't, I think most people would just be happy to know that you're okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's nice to know that we are getting through the hard part now. We are getting to the easier part of this whole isolation thing.
Until the second lockdown hits, and then it's going to be different. What is your history with the studio?
I'm 39 now, so I'm going back 30 years because I first set foot in the place when I was about 9 years old. And funnily enough, I was actually attending a drama class at the time rather than music. So any of my friends who know me now, they'd probably laugh at that because I'm the last person in the world who'd be any good at acting or drama. But I was really interested in it when I was a little kid, and we used to be in the studio and really loved it. And I'd been there for weeks and weeks and weeks before I even twigged that it was part of another building that was attached to it, and there was anything beyond the room that we were in. I remember turning up one day and we did our drama class, and the chap who was leading the class, he said, "Listen, before you go, we've got a little job to do today. We've got to stack some chairs up and put them in the corridor." And I was like, "What corridor? What's he talking about?" And he opened this door, and there was this corridor, and all I wanted to do then was skive off and get away and explore this building as much as I could. Of course, I later found out it was the Queen's Hall Theatre. Right from the word go, I was fascinated with the place. I was fascinated with what went on there, the stage, the behind the stage, the under the stage, the balcony, the grand piano that used to be under the spiral staircase, the whole thing. And I just kind of stumbled over the Queen's Hall Theatre sort of by accident, as I say, when I was attending a thing at the studio. And I've been in love with both the Queen's Hall and the studio ever since.
That's brilliant. That's really good. I know when I first started going to the studio, it was very much that where a whole new room would be opened and you go, oh my God, I need to look at everything. It's brilliant.
Like I say, James, I would never make it as an actor. I don't think I'd be any good at theatre, but I was part of the house band at the Queen's Hall there. And without being any good at that type of thing, I'm still really fascinated by it. The buildings like that have just got so many layers to explore. You know, you never stop finding new things in a place like that. And that was one of the things I loved about the Queen's Hall.
Oh, brilliant. So in terms of like events management, how did you get involved with it?
Well, I'm involved with a charity that I've been volunteering for a long time called the Heswell Disabled Children's Holiday Fund. And we give summer camp holidays to disabled children between the ages of 9 and 16. And going right back, I think kind of 2007, a lot of the volunteers between each year's camp, so we do the camp once a year, and it's very, very expensive to run. So between camps, all of the volunteers, we try to do something between camps to raise some money for it. And the first time I decided I wanted to do some fundraising, I thought, right, well, what will I do? I decided that I'd do a sponsored bike ride. So I did a sponsored bike ride from Widnes, well, not Widnes really, the Ferry Tavern just on the way to Warrington. Cycled across to Hull in 3 days over the Pennines, thinking it'd be enjoyable and fun, and it was. but it was a lot harder than what I thought, and I nearly killed myself doing it. Well, I didn't. I'm being dramatic. I didn't nearly kill myself, but I certainly felt it. Put it like that. So I decided, right, that's it. I'm never going near them mountains again. I'm never getting on a bike again. I'm going to do something easier. So I thought, well, what do I know? And I knew putting on bands and band nights. I'd done a little bit of that in previous incarnations, and that's how Halton Rocks started, because I wanted to find something. I wanted to contribute something to the community that's been so good to me, particularly the music scene. But I'll be honest with you, I was also motivated by never sitting on that flaming bike again, and that's how Halton Rocks was born.
Oh, brilliant. Would you say that it was easier to manage events and do the bike riding?
No, it was another colossal mistake. No, it wasn't, because I love Halton Rocks, and Halton Rocks has been brilliant, and I love what we do. But certainly, I went into it maybe a little bit eyes wide open, thinking, oh, this will be nice and cushy. But of course, and as I'm sure you lads know yourself, with things that go on at the studio, and planning events is one of those things. You can only control what you control and account for what you can account for. It's all the stuff, the unexpected stuff that you can't account for, that just makes it a constant kind of challenge sometimes.
Definitely.
How do events like Wrecked All Day and Halton Rocks complement each other?
Well, I think there's a lot of like you say, those two events there that are of a similar ilk, and there's a lot like him, Josh. You know, in Witness and Runcorn, Junior does a lot. Dan Daly used to put things on. Jojo Gleave does a lot, and I think the reason why it all works and we can all interweave and not tread on each other's toes is, I think where it comes from is the motivation. Everybody's really well motivated. Everybody who puts these types of events on has the arts community, you know, at heart. So people communicate, they help each other, people plug each other's stuff. The latest thing that's all over Facebook is the Music to My Beers group, which is brilliant. And
yeah, definitely.
We up until quite recently, we had a lady called Claire Pitt, who used to run our Twitter page for Halton Rocks. And when you look through the stream that she'd been tweeting, it was so much retweets of other people's stuff and support. And I think the fact that everybody's part of the same community and is well motivated, I think that's why it works. And in particular with Wrecked, I think what's favourable with us is we've all just known each other a long time. I know all the lads involved with Wrecked for at least 20 years, so we help each other out, you know.
The Wrecked All Days, I worked 2 of them, I think I did, and they were just amazing nights. They were absolutely like they are things that I will talk about working for the rest of my life, probably, because it was such an experience to be a part of. And the other thing is with Music to My Beers, I mean, that's something that I don't think I've mentioned on the podcast before, but that is such a good community that every day I'm seeing something go, wow, that's boss, that this page exists.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
like it's a Facebook page, and you refer to it there as a community, and it's a community into itself. And
yeah, definitely.
It's very well meaning, like a lot of the stuff we do. It's well motivated and it shows. And you know, a big hats off to him for the event they just had recently, the live stream, because I was at a band practice myself in the afternoon, and then I had backing tracks and a bunch of stuff to do in the night, so I didn't catch any of it, and I wanted to, but I was keeping a keen interest, and I think to live stream all day, and I think into the night as well, they went to do it on that scale, you know. So and it's only a very recent page, Music to My Beers. It's not been going very long, and already they're getting stuck into that kind of thing. So yeah, a big shout out to those folks. I think they're doing great.
How did you get involved with Heswell Children's Disabled Community Fund?
Well, what it was a friend of mine. He's an adult now. He's a similar age to us, but when he was a child, he used to go to the camp as a child, and he used to benefit from it. And when he grew up and he became too old to go as a child, because the cut-off 16, he started going as a volunteer, and he went every year. But he was just a friend of mine. We used to have a few pints together in the Birchfield Rugby Club. And quite a few years he'd said, come and help us, come and volunteer, come and help us. But I used to work away at sea back in those days. I was a marine engineer, so most of the time I was away. And this one particular year, I said, look, I know I'm going to be home all summer. I can come to this thing if you want. And the thing about the Heswell Disabled Children's Holiday Fund, anyone who ever goes there, whether it be helping or visiting, you'd only need go there once and you're hooked, and you understand what they're doing and how special it is. So I went maybe expecting to just volunteer that one summer, because my mate had basically nagged me into it, and I've been associated ever since. And just on that point as well, it was last year or the year before, I think it was last year, we actually put a little mini festival on at the camp that we run for the kids, and we brought quite a lot of musicians who've who've been involved in Halton Rocks before, because to perform, but also I wanted them to see the place and see where the money we've raised is gone. And they all said the same thing: you can't talk about it, you can't describe it, you need to go and see it. And when you see what this charity does for these children and how happy they are, you go once and you're hooked. And that was what happened with me. I volunteered for one summer. I've been involved ever since.
Oh, brilliant. That sounds really, really good.
Change the topic a bit. What's your history with music?
Well, like I say, I was always interested, but I was involved in a house band at the Queen's Hall Theatre, and I'm part of sometimes we're a duo and sometimes we're a band. We're called the Naughty Corner, which is the worst name in band history, local or otherwise, but that's what we're called. And that's with Peter Clark. Now, me and Peter Clark went to junior school together at St. Bede's. And then he, like all the good Catholic lads, went to the Joeys, Peter and Paul as it is now, and I was the naughty boy. I went to Way Deacon, even though I'm a Catholic, so I didn't really see him for years and years. And then I was involved at the Queen's Hall again via the studio, like we were talking about, and I was in the stage band for Little Shop of Horrors was on at the time, and Clarkey played the part. Peter Clarkey played the part of Seymour in the show. So we just got sort of rekindled our friendship, and then instead of just rehearsing the stuff we should have been rehearsing for the show, we used to start rehearsing our own stuff and practicing. And then we did our first ever gig at the Crompton Community Centre. Really enjoyed it, and just decided we wanted to keep doing it, and we've been a little act ever since.
So would you like to introduce your song?
Yeah, sure. Yes, this is a song that we recorded back in 2012. The Naughty Corner, the band, sort of the lineup kind of changes over the years, but that was the incarnation we had at the time. And we really enjoyed the album. It was called Redemption, and this is just one of the tracks off the album, and it's called Pigeons.
What is the song about and how was it written?
So the song Pigeons, both of my parents worked in London for a period. So I used to go down to visit them every once in a while, and I got like a lot of people, I got like a love-hate relationship with London. But one of the things I can't stand about the place is, I don't know, maybe due to the lifestyle and the speed of the lifestyle and the busyness and the number of people, but it's the lack of consideration that people have for each other. And in them days, I sometimes used to carry a little sort of notebook around, and obviously, if you get any ideas these days, you can tap it into your phone, can't you? But I used to have a little notepad, and I was just observing people. I think I was at King's Cross Station, and there's all these people bustling about each other, everybody out for themselves. And across the way was a bunch of pigeons who were sort of fighting over some food. And I was thinking to myself, you know what, the pigeons are more civilized than the people. And I just started tossing ideas around about that and turning the people into pigeons, and that's how the song came about.
I was listening to the song earlier, and first thing, my genuine first thought was, I wonder what this song's about. I think I really genuinely enjoyed it. Yeah. So as a keyboard player, how do you personally go about writing songs?
Usually with me, I tend to find a start with a hook. So I can't try to write a song. I can't force myself to do it. I can have a period where I'll write a shed load in a couple of weeks, and then I could go 4 or 5 months and nothing. I mean, I can't force it out. So, but what I usually find is it's a hook on its own, just a line. Sometimes, usually lyric and music together. And then, so rather than sort of starting at the beginning, I kind of start in the middle and then sort of branch out both ways. But I usually just get a little hook, a hook line, or a smart lyric or I think it's smart, probably isn't, but something that I really like, and then I kind of start with that and work outwards, if you like.
With that smart lyric thing in mind, do you because I do this a lot, way too much. Do you ever write a song and then kind of be sat with someone and go, see, this one's clever, this lyric's clever, and go into why you think it's personally clever, and they're like, yeah, no, I get it. It's so smart.
I know that pull and I know that urge, and sometimes you're itching to and you're dying to, but generally speaking, I resist the urge. You've got to let sort of people interpret it their own way. The only time I think I indulged myself, funnily enough, I was on a boating holiday. Me and my mate hired a boat on the Norfolk Broads, and we just got absolutely bladdered for a week and paddled round on a boat on the Norfolk Broads, and we had the CDs, and I think he nearly threw me off the boat because we put one of our albums on one night, and I kept pausing it and going because I was so drunk and I was full of myself. I was pausing it and explaining what it's all about and all that, and he absolutely lost his rag with me and had a good shout at me. But I think I was probably closer to getting drowned that night than I realised. You will sit there and I will dissect the song for you.
Here's why I'm a genius. Just accept.
Where can people find you online?
Oh yeah, geez, you sent me over the questions in advance. You know what? I've been so busy. I meant to get this already. We've got a SoundCloud. Do you know what? I won't find the URL, but basically we're on SoundCloud. We don't have Spotify or any of that type of thing. But if you go on SoundCloud and search the Naughty Corner Witness, or Google SoundCloud the Naughty Corner Witness, I think we've got two albums worth up there. So, if you've watched all your DVDs and listened to all your CDs and played every board game in the house and things get really desperate, you can find us on SoundCloud.
Brilliant. Cheers for this, Si. It's been absolutely brilliant. I've really enjoyed this one.
A good episode, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to you both. I've not met you two before, I don't think, but it's an absolute pleasure, and thank you very much for having me on.
Oh no, don't. Thanks for coming. Cheers. I'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks very much, gents. Ta-ra.